Hello, welcome to a live Q&A session. Hi, welcome to UK Bright Education. Now, please sit down with a cup of tea. Whenever you can, screenshot or write some notes. There will be some websites coming along, which I will put into the chat. It's very important that you actually listen to my two guests, who are very, very important for today's live Q&A. So basically, if you're an international student who's studying in the UK, this is appropriate for you. Students who are thinking of applying to study in the UK, again, it's always good to plan ahead. This is also for you. What am I talking about? How to get a job after graduation. Now, as you know, UK Bright Education, we are authorised partners for Montfort University, and I'm very proud to say that their careers department, known as DMU Works, is award-winning. It's the best in the country, and that's why I'm very, very happy to introduce you to my friend Sam from DMU Works. So without further ado, here is my guest, Sam. Hi, Sam.
Afsana. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's lovely to be here talking to everyone today.
Oh, lovely. No, thank you for coming. Right, so basically before we start, Sam, just wanted to ask our guests who are watching us, why don't you write in the chat and tell us, say hi, and also mention which country you're calling from or watching from. Sorry. Okay, right. I have another guest. So I'm going to introduce you to Shu, who's from Oxford International. So here's my guest, Shu.
Hello.
Hi, Shu. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, glad I made it.
I've never done this with three. This is so cool. Have you done this before, Sam? With three?
Yeah, I've had 6 on the screen before.
Yes. Okay. I don't know if you guys are old enough, but do you remember Charlie's Angels from the 70s? Doesn't it remind you? Shu, do you know? Sam knows. Shu, have you heard of Charlie's Angels? No, you haven't. She's too young. She's a baby.
They did a remake though in the
they did.
in the early 2000s with
yes.
who was it? Cameron Diaz and Drew Barrymore.
Drew Barrymore.
Yep.
And one more person, I forgot.
I can't think who the other one was.
Right. Okay. Hi to Hashmat. Hi. Welcome from Cyprus, all the way from Cyprus. Welcome. Right. So basically, I have a set of questions for you. So like I said, I've Sam. Oh, let me move this because it's not nice if you can't see everybody. So basically, Sam is from Montfort University, from DMU Works, the careers department, and she'll be speaking on behalf of Oxford International Education Group with regards to Tier 2 sponsors. Both my guests are here. If you are thinking of applying for a job, you need to start applying pretty soon, but they'll tell you more. So here we go. Here's the questions. Right. So I'll ask one by one. So, Sam, could you share your experiences of dealing with international students?
Yeah, of course. So I'm actually based in the placement service. So we help second-year students, both local, home, EU, international students, because obviously now with Brexit, international students are also EU nationals as well. So loads and loads of experience. We help them get placements either within the UK or within their home country, or within the European Union as well. So prior to Brexit, I was sending about 25% of my students into Europe, which was just amazing. Absolutely loved doing that. And currently I've got students working in Hong Kong.
Right.
I've got them based in Sweden. I've got them in Germany, Holland, and Spain. So they're kind of spread nicely across the countries at the moment. And we support them in loads and loads of different ways. Obviously, we understand English isn't necessarily their first language. So we do refer them on for more English tailored support.
Right.
But absolutely, we'll be helping them with their CVs, cover letters, mock interview practice. Really, really, really important in that area. And we also have some postgrad placements as well within DMU Works generally. Different faculties have postgrad placements, and the service is exactly the same for those as well. But there is also loads and loads of stuff. So at the start of the year, we ran our big showcase event, and there was a day dedicated to helping international students access all the different services, look at sites like Student Circus, which is companies that are really, really hot on Tier 2 sponsorship. So absolutely loads and loads of support across the university to support with international students.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Now, the title of today's webinar is about getting a job with Tier 2. So if I could bring Shu in. What is a Tier 2 sponsor, if anybody doesn't know?
Okay, so Tier 2 in UK, the visa system, they categorize it by Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 4, etc. So normally student visa in the past called Tier 4. Now that for the work visa, people normally refer it as a Tier 2, basically.
Right. Okay. So basically, if students want to get a job, could you share? Here's another question. Sam, when should they start to look for jobs? So, for example, I have students who started their studies in September. When is the best time to apply?
Now. Why wait?
Oh, wow.
Absolutely. What are they waiting for?
My goodness.
We absolutely have our on-campus uni temps, and that will help students with part-time work to fit in with their Tier 4 visa. So that 20 hours that they can do. So absolutely, they want to find the uni temps office, and that is on the first floor of the campus centre. So as soon as you get here, you can look at that. You can also look at student ambassador work, which is handled through the uni temps office as well. So for our first year students, it's never too early to start looking.
Wow.
And my advice would be start now. What are you waiting for? Absolutely.
For?
Go seek that
I need
support.
to write in the chat. Okay, brilliant.
For second years, again, start looking for your placement years. They undergraduate and postgraduate international students have until the 30th of June to find a placement. So absolutely tons of time. But again, find your local placement office. Where is your faculty placement office? Go find them. And then for graduates, graduate roles and schemes are already open. So absolutely, again, they need to be applying for them now. Don't sit and wait until you've graduated. And if you're looking for summer work, there's I'd wait maybe until after Christmas. It's probably a little bit early for summer things. But my advice across the board is what are you waiting for? If you want to work in the UK, there is support staff here in DMU to help, and there are opportunities available for you to access.
Right, brilliant. So moving on to Shu. So basically, we keep talking about Tier 2 sponsors, but where would students be able to get the information about Tier 2 sponsors?
Yes, you'll be able to go to on Google. So on Google search engine, you type on the keyword called Tier 2 work sponsor. Then normally the search result, within the first 3 search result, there will be a government website. Normally it's called gov.uk. So on the government website, you'll be able to see all the international work sponsor visa registered company. So from that company, the government not only give you the latest registration organization who are able to sponsor your work visa, they give you organization name, they give you the location, the city of the company. They also give you the type of visa they're going to sponsor you. Are they a Tier 2 work visa, or are they temporary worker visa type? And then they also tell you a route. How do you apply for this kind of visa? Is it skilled worker? Is it charity worker? The government actually put a list on that. So if you are international students, you need a Tier 2 work sponsor visa. Like my colleague just say, you need to start looking for it as early as possible, and you need to pay attention on those like government published list.
Okay. So I've just posted it in Facebook and on YouTube. Like Shu said, all I did was I just typed in Tier 2 sponsor space gov, and it comes up with the actual website, and it's been updated on the 3rd, so just last week. So it is updated regularly. So it is best to have a look at it on a regular basis. Brilliant. Yeah. So basically, let's go back to De Montfort University DMU Works. So what could they do for our international students in order to improve their job prospects?
Okay, so we have internal schemes that students can apply for as well. So not only do we have DMU Works, so what is DMU Works? I suppose is one of the biggest questions. I should explain that, shouldn't I? So DMU Works is the home of careers and graduate success. So we have our career service, we have employability offices, we have our internship team, we have the placement service, we have our employer engagement team, which bring employers onto campus to do events. They run our careers fair for us, whether that be virtual or on campus. It's one of those unknown at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's loads of other services that are going on as well. So we've got the Leicester 1000 project that's taking place at the moment, which are all short-term little bits of work experience with companies based in Leicester or Leicestershire.
Right.
These tend to be small or medium-sized enterprises, so you'd be absolutely learning loads. And the university pays your wages. 110 hours of paid work, all paid for by the university. So it's a
Wow.
fantastic experience to get some paid work experience under your belt. So there's that. But in addition to that, there's the careers team. And the careers team are both faculty based and central based. So if you've got something very, very tailored that you want to know about your course, you can book an appointment with your faculty team. Or if it's more of a general query, you can book an appointment with the careers service. So there's actual face-to-face or virtual appointments that people can book in for. In addition to that, we have our online platform though. So we have My Gateway, which is available to all students to access a whole raft of information. We have jobs advertised on there. We have CV builders on there, CV 360, which checks your CV and gives you information about it. You can do video interviews. I was only showing a student earlier today how to access our video interview software.
Right.
So there's lots of online support. There's videos you can watch about professionalism, how to network, how to do presentations, how to use Outlook. On top of that, we've also got a subscription to LinkedIn Learning. So there's more training content there as well. So regardless of where you come from in the world, there is something available to suit, whether it be you prefer that online learning where it's very self-directed, or you actually want to sit and talk to somebody face to face. There's so much support available, it's ridiculous. I run out. I kind of can't retain all of the information.
No, you can't.
There's so much support.
You're bursting to say it, but there's so much. Okay, but can I ask to both panel members? Sorry, I need to be careful. Right, so to both panel members now, because this webinar is actually focusing on international students, but we have many other students watching. But can I ask both of you that while they're studying, you're saying there's a lot to do. Now, DMU Works, do you actually look for tier 2? Does it have to be tier 2 or not? Or should the tier 2 sponsor be focused more after graduation? Question to both of you.
So while they're a student, the university looks after their sponsorship. So they're still a tier 4 sponsor while they're studying with us. So from an organisation's perspective, they can take one of our students and not need to worry about the sponsorship side of things because the university retains that responsibility still. So the tier 2 element only comes in at the point where they graduate, and that's where they're on their own in the world of work, in essence. Up until that point, the university takes responsibility. So my international students that are on placement at the moment, check in with me or my placement tutor twice every 2 weeks, just to let us know from their from their work email address, that they're in work, we know where they are, and that's the obligation. So if they go on holiday, they just let us know. Whereas obviously for UK students, they don't need to do that. So there's just a couple of extra little provisions for international students, but otherwise from a placement perspective, it's exactly the same. And for the short-term stuff, because it's under their 20 hours allowable working a week, they're absolutely fine with doing our additional projects. We work it around to make sure that it's under that 20 hours. So even our front runner scheme, that's 10 hours a week for 21 weeks, and it's during teaching weeks. So that 10 hours again is paid, and it's in faculty departments or across the university. But again, it's 10 hours, so it's absolutely open to international students to get involved in as well.
Fantastic. I need to write all these websites. I'll get them from you and then I'll post them, definitely. Right. So moving on from tier 4 to tier 2, Shu, could you tell me is there a special benefit of actually being employed by a tier 2 sponsor? Can international students, do they only can work with tier 2? Can they not work with other tiers? And is there a benefit?
So ideally, once you graduate with a UK bachelor degree or master degree or doctor degree, you'll be able to get a sponsor for post-study work visa, PSW. Okay. And then for some people, they can go for the PSW. And then after 2 years PSW, they're looking for a work sponsor visa. You can go for first route for that way. You can go for second route. That is actually if you already find a company that are happy to sponsor you tier 2 visa, then you go for that route because that route is 5 years, 3+2. So normally they give you 3 years work visa. After 3 years, we renew your work visa for the second stage. Then altogether 5 years. After 5 years, if you reach the home office like required labor market required salary and with your job title, then you're able to apply for indefinite leave. So to echo what Sam just said is that, speak from my own experiences, is that when you were tier 4 students under university licenses as a tier 4 student visa, you're normally allowed to work 20 hours a week. You should really try to looking for a placement, a project work, and a part-time job that is related to the work visa you want to apply. Because not all the company boss are going to straight away sponsor your work visa. That is called human capital cost. So they need to make sure if they sponsor your work visa, you're definitely going to bring in benefits and revenue to the company. So normally, every job needs 3 to 6 months probation. Normally, the 3 to 6 months probation, they decided whether they're going to continue to keep you, meaning to sponsor your work visa. So speak for that, I would say definitely all the time. You can't just say, I want to focus on study now, then I'm going to focus on job hunting. To make it much smoother, you should really try to, like Sam say, apply for job, apply for this placement, etc. So that way, within that 20 hours a week, your boss will get to know you better, and then they will see whether you definitely bring the revenue, the profits as what you expected. Then, when you were close to 3 to 6 months project wise, then the boss can sponsor you T2 visa, because although you can get PSW visa, but PSW visa 2 years and another 5 years work visa, you need at least 7 years. So the quickest route, I would say, is still T2 visa, T2 work sponsor visa. Some people, if you are in home office, that's like a skilled worker from own research. For example, if you're a ballerina or if you're a footballer, then that's a different.
I think chefs are in demand as well, aren't they?
Yes. So if you're in a home office published list in terms of like, highly skilled worker, then those are different category, and those you can look in for. But for the majority of international students, I would say go for one route, PSW plus 5-year work visa, or straight away go for tier 2 work visa for 5 years.
Okay.
I think it's, Afsana, I was going to say, I think it's also worth noting, if they do a placement, the 12-month sandwich placement, that 20 hours a week doesn't apply. So just to put some clarity behind that. So obviously during normal study time, it's 20 hours a week, which is, if I'm correct, it's volunteering, unpaid work, it's paid work, it's absolutely everything. If they get a 12-month placement between their second and third year of study, because it's a recognised scheme, and they are still part of the university, but they're on a module, then they can work full time. So that 20 hours doesn't apply at that point. They work full-time hours in a paid role in a company. I know I've got a lady at the moment from Peru who's a postgrad student who's doing exactly that. She's in a 12-month placement. And at the point where the company interviewed her, they could see how beneficial she was going to be to their company already, that they were already asking me all the stuff that she's just covered in terms of if this works out, how can we keep her after she's finished her master's? So this is the benefit of getting all of this experience while you're here, is that you're building those contacts, you're building those networks up. And as she said, there's lots of different routes once they graduate, but it's the earlier you start, the more of that network and that British CV that you've built up However, that doesn't, what I don't want people to think is that if they've got loads of work experience in their home country, that we just discount all of that, because absolutely we wouldn't. But having work experience in the UK and showing that actually throughout your studies you've shown an interest in working in the UK in the profession that you want to go into is so important for employers.
It is. It's basically it's an all round. It's you know, you look at it from an outside point of view. You look at skills from all parts of your life, really.
Absolutely.
Right. I don't know if you've noticed, but it's gone very dark. So I think it's going to rain. So I'm going to switch my camera off and put the light on, and to get tissue because I've got a cold. So I'm going to ask a question to both of you. Here's the question. Right. So basically, okay, this is a question for both of you, and then I'm going to go. It says, how can an international student gain employment? I know we've talked about it, but I really need you guys to like say da 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 da. You should be doing this, this, this. Okay, so I'm going to disappear and get some tissue.
Sam, go ahead, please.
Okay, so it's a slightly harder question for me to answer because we don't focus on which company is a tier 2 sponsor when we're looking at placement opportunities. And the reason for that is purely and simply that the company doesn't need to be a tier 2 sponsor. However, what I can tell you is there is a website called Student Circus, which I mentioned earlier on. And Student Circus recruits across lots and lots of different sectors, different roles, all of that type of thing. But these are specific tier 2 sponsor companies. So for me, the most important thing is to know what type of role you want to do, what type of what do you want to do? It's not enough to kind of go, I want to go and work for a tier 2 sponsor company because I can stay in the UK. It's about what role do I actually want to do? Then doing your research about that company, or a company that recruits your type of position, and finding out exactly what that company or that type of role requires you to have from an experience perspective, and then being able to go and search for those types of organisations on a website like Student Circus or the gov.uk website, and finding out exactly what you can, what they would look for, and then making sure that you're using your time at university to plug any gaps that you don't have on your CV. So for me, it's identify very clearly what you want to do. What type of role? Does that role exist in the UK? And does it differ from what it looks like in the UK to what it looks like in your home country? Find out what kind of skills you'd need. Look at job descriptions that company is posting in similar types of roles. So if you know you want to be a mechanical engineer, for example, find mechanical engineering type firms like Jaguar Land Rover, JCB, BMW, I'm just thinking off the top of my head here, those types of companies. Then look at the type of job role that they are advertising for graduates in those areas. That then gives you an idea of what skills you are going to need to have in order to apply for those types of roles at the end of your degree. Then find your gaps in your CV and talk to DMU Works to find out how you can plug the gaps where you're missing. Then go to Student Circus or gov.uk and find the companies that automatically are tier 2 sponsor companies already, or do a placement year that then enables you to have conversations with people about the possibility of them taking you on one of the options Shu spoke to you about after you graduate. But to me, you need to know what you want to do. You need to know what the criteria is in the UK and how that differs and where your gaps are and how you can plug those gaps to start with. And I would say that is the same whether it's a current tier 2 sponsor company or a smaller company that would be willing to look at you post-graduation.
Right. So basically do a SWOT analysis, find out your ideal company, look at their job descriptions, see if you fill those criteria. If you don't, go back to Montfort University and try to sort it out. Brilliant.
Absolutely. You could even look
and it takes time. It takes time, doesn't it? You can't wait till the end of the year.
No, not at all. The one thing you can also do is obviously look on My Gateway. There are graduate roles advertised on My Gateway, and there are also undergraduate roles, placement roles advertised on there. So as a first year, for argument's sake, look now.
Okay.
See what's being required of you if you were a second year to do a placement role? What's required of you as a third year, as a graduate? So you can not only search, like go on indeed.co.uk and have a look, put mechanical engineering in, for example, see what job roles come up. The other thing, to be honest, is have a LinkedIn profile. Build a LinkedIn profile, and on there you can start connecting or following the companies that you're interested in potentially going to work for. Because you can also see the larger companies will post their job roles on LinkedIn as well, and it will take you straight to their careers page. But having that LinkedIn profile allows you to start connecting with people that are in the industry that you want to go into. And my advice, and I say this to all undergraduates, is do not wait until you have graduated to create that LinkedIn profile. Create it now, because absolutely you need to start. It takes time to build those connections. They don't just happen overnight. It takes a lot of time. And also quiz any of your guest lecturers. So if you get guest lecturers come in and they're in the industry that your degree is in, why not talk to them and find out how they got to where they are now? What degree did they do? What career path did it take? Because that gives you some kind of idea as to how you can get into the industry. So it's all about doing the research you do beforehand. Because if a company doesn't just have to be a tier 2 sponsor company now to take international graduates, you need to do your research and you need to be as prepared as you can possibly be.
Brilliant. Okay. Thank you. That's a very thorough response. And I believe that I'm going to go back and actually write those points down and make a post, because those are like just diamonds that you're just throwing out into the air. Okay. Right. I have a question for you. Shu, maybe perhaps you'll be able to answer with this one. Okay, so it's basically, hold on, no, it's not that one. Oh, this one, sorry. It's a student from Facebook, Olajide Bejide. Hello. Right, please, can you talk about scale-up visa? I did ask what it was. He said it's a new route instead of PSW.
I think because we are not professional visa officer, we're not supposed to comment on that. I would say, regardless what kind of visa you go for, you need to check what's your end goal and what's the process. The Home Office and the government actually publish very clearly, like what route will lead to what destination and what's the requirement. You need to download the handbook. Normally the government will have the guidebook to tell you which type of visa route you want to go for, how long will it be, and then what's the middle, all the requirement. What I would say is that I'll comment from my own experience because I'm international.
Yes,
and I
was going to ask you.
Yeah. So first of all, as an international student, you got to bear in mind you're competing with the local British. You don't have the language advantage because it's not your first languages, majority of us. Secondly is that you need to put 200% of work. If your British colleague is doing 100% of preparation, you need to do 200%. By doing so, is basically, first of all, go to the University of DMU, build out your CV, go log in the DMU to build out your LinkedIn profile. The reason why I say LinkedIn profile is important is because on the LinkedIn profile, plus the work published, sponsor list published by government, you can see what kind of company, what kind of role they publish, and is that role actually go for the sponsor visa. And if you're on LinkedIn, you type, for example, you want to work for Deloitte, and then you type the role and you go check, is that role, what kind of people who are in that role, check that person's profile, what kind of education they have, what kind of qualification they have, what kind of skill they've been endorsed, what kind of recommendation comment people will write on that person's profile, because that's exactly what that company going to hire you about. And if you are international, make sure you're 200% polished on those required skills, basically. So also, you need to go into DMU Job Center to start training your assessment center, especially bigger company. They actually have not only apply online, but also they have to go through the assessment center.
Yes.
After the assessment center, they go for the interview. The interview skill can be sometimes 1-to-1, sometimes 1-to-3. And I've been through those things. Some company asked me to 1-to-1 presentation, later 1-to-3 interview. Wow. So those are very thorough procedure, but you can't just switch like that way. So you need to start to build in your CV, your LinkedIn profile, using LinkedIn to check what skills they needed, compare plus the website the government provides you to download the sponsor list. And then you go through the assessment center training, and you go through the interview training, you go through the presentation training. This is all on the go together with that. Once you get that role, you start to do your like 3 to 6 months, depends on the company. And then you need to have a chat with your HR company HR, and or have a chat with some small companies boss, saying like, I want to get a work visa. I know you're on sponsor this. I know now I get this role, and I need to perform within 3 to 6 months probation. What do you really want me to end result be in 3 to 6 months time, that you are definitely 100% going to sponsor me?
Okay.
Check clearly, because that's very important. You can't just like, I get a job, and 3 to 6 months you're drifting, then there's nothing. You still ended up with no work visa. So normally after 3 to 6 months, you are also not only perform, but also you are close in communication with HR, with also the company boss. Some small company don't have HR, they will have a boss to deal with the work sponsor visa. Then you double check, because just because a company has the sponsor name on the home office website and the published list, doesn't mean they have the quotation, because each company has a limited cap of how many people they can sponsor a year. So that's normally called COS. So you need to check how many COS they've used, how many COS left, and is it possible to sponsor you for that COS? You need to compete for COS. We are talking about maybe like, Deloitte, KPMG, that kind of big companies. They don't have unlimited like work visa sponsor places. They have limited one. So you have to compete for that limited seat. So you got to be extra. Well, I would say you got to be superstar, very good at your job, basically.
Yeah, definitely.
It's
highly competitive.
Yeah, once you make sure the company is going to sponsor your course, you need to closely talk to the HR, double check, are they giving the right job description to sponsor your work visa? Because based on the labor market test published by home offices, each job that the company have an intention trying to sponsor work visa had to specifically meet the home office guideline to publish the job description correctly. If a job description role or the salary doesn't publish correctly, even the company has the work sponsor course places for you, you will still end up with a visa rejection. So you need to closely talk to the HR, talk to your boss, make sure those HR published job description, everything is all correct. Then you can get your visa successfully apply. So course is almost like a student visa's CAS, just in company term, it's called COS, basically. COS letter has to be correct, basically. So once you get your job, then you're on to the 5 years journey. Normally the home office give you 3 years visa in advance. Okay, within the 3 years, you need to also not only perform your job, but also talk to the HR about the salary, because home office says that on the final year of your job, in 5 years route, your job and your salary and your title has to meet we call it labor market job code. If the job code, expected salary or expected role, etc., wasn't meeting, then unfortunately your permanent residence application will have some issue. So you really need to talk to your HR in communication. So, but the good thing is that as an international, if you are all the time on top of those regulations, all the time checking, because almost home office keep updating every like quarter or maybe every half a year, and you keep monitor, and then you keep communicating with your boss, but at the same time you need to do a good job for sure. Then I'm pretty sure you are actually going to reach your indefinite leave application fairly safer. So I will echo back to what Sam just said, is that use the DMU resources to build a CV, to do the LinkedIn profile, networking, but also to actively search what kind of people they hire in what kind of skill. Secondly, assessment center skill, interview skill, presentation skill. So that all mix it together. That's how you're going to, have a job that is easy to be, later on lead to your destination, trying to apply for indefinite leave, basically.
Brilliant. My goodness, ladies and gentlemen, do you realize how lucky you are? We have two ladies here. We have one lady who's speaking on behalf of De Montfort University. De Montfort University are going out of their way because your success is their success. If you get employment, that is good for the university because they need to check their numbers. Isn't that right, Sam? That every year
Absolutely.
how many graduates are being employed. So De Montfort University, their award-winning careers department are actually, we have Sam here who's actually telling you these are things that they can do in order for you to get that job, to get that golden ticket. But you need to get up from your seat and actually go there, whether it's within the faculty or at the general office. It's true. And Shu, on the other hand, she's giving you a reality check saying that, look, once you've got a job, you can't relax. You have a probationary period, perhaps of a couple of months or up to half a year, but you have to be like this with the HR department and with your boss, with your line manager, and to know, are you actually doing what's actually on the description? What do I need to do to make sure I can stay here for longer and perform better? So, and there's a lot to do. And like you said, I love what you said, Shu. You can't do it 100%. It has to be 200%. You have to show more. As an international student. I mean, it's a level playing field, but nevertheless, it's a competitive world out there, isn't it?
Shu, I had a question for you. You mentioned that they have a cap on how many students how many graduates or international visas they can sponsor each year.
Yeah.
If, for example, that's 5 a year, but they've already got 5 from the previous year, are they allowed another 5, or is it within the organisation they are only allowed a certain number, or is it per year?
You have to apply. So my background is HR. So I used to help one of organization to trying to obtain the licenses, and also my current company, the employee I hire is work sponsor visa. So the way it is that if you think you are going to expand in your team, you want to have a bit more co-sponsor places, you need to apply for it. Your organization has to apply to the Home Office UKVI saying like, my business scale, the job I needed, unfortunately, locals cannot fill in this international role. So I'm here to applying, asking, can I give more allocation on the course? But also it's a double-edged sword. Even organization apply for a course and they didn't use up the course, then the next time when they get in the quotation assigned by the home offices, it could be even half. So there's always double-edged sword. So my personal experience is that make sure that, because to hire, from HR perspective, to hire a person is a cost. To hire international students, it's also a cost, just the cost involving home office regulation. So that cost is more to do, I'm happy to sponsor you, but you demonstrating your value. And when they trying to apply for course, they will say, this is my business scale, I've done this, and international can fulfill the job value for me. And so therefore, I'm expecting to apply for 2 places, 3 places. The HR at the organization has to be very strict on. Because home office, that's actually, from our experiences, home office actually reply back email saying like, I know you sponsor these employee for work visa, but like, can I please double confirm with you with A, B, C, D, E, etc. They rolled it back, the organization, and to see whether that place is definitely necessary and cannot be fulfilled by the local British, basically.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a bit like university student cards. You can't just like, forever issue to students and keep recruiting international students. Yeah, similar idea.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, I think that's a wrap up for you guys. I've run out of questions. And there's a lot to take in. It's already nearly 40 minutes. Right. So as you can see, there's a lot to take in, ladies and gentlemen. You do need to pause and replay and go back. I will on YouTube put timestamps so that every question that I've given, I'll put a timestamp so it'll be easier for you to look at on the video at the end. I just want to give a massive thanks to Sam and Shu for coming here, for your time. I know you guys are very busy and I really appreciate you helping international students like this. So thank you very much.
More than welcome. I know. I'd like to say for the international students that are at DMU that are staying here for Christmas in the UK, I hope you enjoy. We might have a bit more snow in the next couple of weeks. Who knows? I'm personally hoping not, because I don't like driving in the snow. But obviously, it's a very, very different experience, I imagine, Christmas over here. So if you are staying, I hope you enjoy it. And for those of you that are traveling home, I hope you have a safe travel home.
Brilliant. Thank you.
So, just to Afsana, thank you for invitation, and also San, it's really nice to see you, like, chipping in, because it's so difficult for our colleges sometimes. we really wish for that. So, to all the audience who are watching, DNU, we provide a lot of support, not only for domestic students, we also cater to international students. And I have students study with our colleges, graduate DNU, and ended up with work sponsor like visa at Deloitte. So there's a lot of international student successful story, and I'm pretty sure our university are paying 200% effort to trying to helping students to build up not only the CV, but also, actually, I would say not only the study degree, the fun side, like Sun said, enjoy your first Christmas. But the most important is that DNU, we are career-driven, focused university. So if you come, to study with us, we give you a thorough support. Providing you're approaching us, providing you approaching us.
We'll meet you somewhere. Yeah, you have to come.
Yeah. Most of my students like, oh my God, career center, click, read, and I said, did you read into detail? And then I say, you have to read into details.
Yeah, yes, very important. Yes, it's very important. Yes.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ladies, and Merry Christmas, if I can say that, and season's greetings. It's the 6th. I'm sure I can say it.
Absolutely. We've got the Christmas tree up down the corridor.
Thank you. Take care, ladies.
Okay,
bye.
Bye. Right, so that was Sam from Montfort University and Shu from Oxford International Education Group. I'm going to sign off now, but as you can see, there's lots of information from there. LinkedIn profiles, go to your careers advisor, careers services. It's so important. You need to be active. There's only so much we can do. You need to be able to come forward. So that's the reason for this webinar, as an awareness, as a formal promotion, so that you can actually go there, make that step. Okay, can you see Montfort University? They're very accommodating. They're happy to fill in those gaps to make sure to, get you ready for that interview. Anyway, I hope that was helpful. If you'd like admission at a UK university, all you need to do is DM me direct. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.